special guest settings. We got the gaffer in the building. You lot called for it, so I got it done. How you doing, my guy? It's been a minute.
Hey, how we doing, my man? I'm good, thank you very much. All good, all good.
Can't complain, man. We got a lot to discuss, from Madueke to Gyokeres to all of these kind of things. But before we get into it, Lee, I wanted to ask you, like, going into the transfer window, like, what did you think Arsenal need to do?
Strengthen the make the 11 better than what it was, and we haven't done that for quite a few transfer windows. So, i.e., bring in better players than what we got. That would make us stronger in other areas. I.e., if you got a better left winger in Martinelli, like Martinelli becomes a squad player, if that's what you want to do, or definitely in other positions as well. But come on, you know, I mean, we all know what we want and what we've needed for the last couple of seasons, and that is a proper centre forward. Until that one is signed, and whoever it will be, then all the other signings and all that are good, but they're not going to be game changers. We need that game changing situation. Like Zubamendi's a good signing, and gives us a little bit more energy in the midfield. But I still think that we're at this moment in time, as it stands, you know, I mean, it's not what we want and what we need. But I'm pretty sure things will get done. It's just a slow process, isn't it? With Arsenal, or other clubs, it seems to be a little bit quicker. But with Arsenal, we just sort of take our time and all that. And I tell you what, I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they made a fantastic point. It's been 21 years since we won the league. We're very, very close to winning the league, but here we are still penny pinching to try and get players over the line. You know, it's not been a year or 2 years. You know, this is through the whole process of the Emirates Stadium and losing players to bring in to get into the position that we are now, if you know what I mean. And then not, you know, like, oh, we'll hold out for 3 million. You know, if the striker is, I don't know, so let's say it is Gyokeres, why are we penny pinching over £6 million and all that? Like, and I get the frustration of a lot of fans on that. I do. I actually was nodding my head and saying, yeah, you know, you're right. We shouldn't be penny pinching now. Like, they should be going, right, getting done. Listen, I know that, you know, you've got to get the right deals and everything like that. I get all of that. But we're not in a position like of other teams that have won trophies and are, you know, like for instance, Liverpool can do that if they want. Manchester City can do that because if they've got to the Holy Grail. You know what I mean? We're close. You know what I mean? 2 seasons ago, we had the trophy in our stadium. And here we are a year later, penny pinching on players that we definitely need. If you want those players, go and get them and show that we as a club mean business, and also as a club to show the fans that you do want to win the league. You do want to win the league. And I don't know if we've done that over the last couple of transfer windows where you can turn around. No, I don't think we have. And say, like, I think we did in the one with Declan Rice and Havertz and Timber and all that, like, you know. But you know, this window has got to be nothing short of spectacular, mate.
Everything has to work. Like, you know, in previous years, we would do things like if we need a striker in the left wing, and we might get either or and then leave the other one for a year. I personally don't think we've given ourselves any scope for that. We need to address all areas, whether I like the players or not. Kind of piggybanking off what you said, it's like we're flirting with getting over the line. Where you look at the striker, the left winger, the depth, a lot of things, even tactically with Mikel Arteta, we didn't learn any of this last season. We've known we've needed to do this, and that's my frustration, especially with kind of Berta coming in. I know he's not going to change anything in a matter of months. In fact, that's a good question for you. Are you disappointed currently because, you know, Berta come in with a big reputation and we still seem like we're doing the same things at this moment in time?
A little bit. Listen, I think that for me, you know, the priority is getting the striker. Like, you know, I get the Zubamendi one. I get Norgard to that. I get the central defender for Valencia. I get Eze as well. You know what I mean? Like, but if you get the centre forward, and let's say it is Gyokeres, you get Gyokeres in, and then you get Eze in, along with what we've got at the moment, I think most Arsenal fans will be happy with that. I'm not saying we'd be content, but happy.
You'd have to say fair play. There's some good players there.
Yeah, and if they bring in another one towards the end of it, like, that's fantastic. But until they get that striker, I'm not interested in any other thing. You know what I mean? Like, people will say, oh, well, we needed Zubimendi, we needed Norgard, we bring in Eze, I think would be fantastic for us. It's not going to win us the league. It's not going to give us the chance to win it. Now, we can sign Gyokeres. That's not guaranteed you're going to win the league, but I will feel more comfortable going into next season because we've been close in the last couple of years. People go to me, what you can have arguments about the manager and all that, like, can he get us over the line, blah, 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 blah. What he's done over the last 2 years is he's pushed us so close. What do we need to win the league? What is it? You know what I mean? Do we need a new manager? All right, okay, we're not going to get a new manager. So, right, let's put that to bed. What do we need then that's going to get us over the line? Proper centre forward. I think everybody would say that.
Level raisers.
Forward, proper centre forward. So go and get it. Go and get it. And here we are, 1 week away, by the way, before they go on the tour. Like, they leave on the Saturday. I just think to yourself, like, that those things should be done now. Like, I mean, we're not a club that needs to penny pinch and everything. I go, I'm not moaning about anything. I'm just
no, you're speaking factually. Go on, man.
Just gonna go out there and say, like, we've got to get Champions League football. Why have we got to get Champions League football? Because you don't get a trophy, right? It's to compete and get the signings in that are going to take. Right, okay, right. Let's go for that. Like, so we've had Champions League football now for 2 years, and in that Champions League window that we've been in, we've had 4 windows and spent in 1.
If you don't laugh, you'll cry, man.
Well, yeah. So come on. So this is the time now when you think, right, I don't really want to hear about, we're saving 6 million here or 5 million here, and then I read things like we're going to put in 50 million pounds for a backup for Saka. I'm thinking, really? Well, I'd rather you put that 50 million pound and go on it. And the other thing that I will say this: if the club wants Sesko, right, and that's Arteta and everybody, like, and they're going for Gyokeres because it's a cheaper deal, I find that scandalous.
Right? Why do you find it scandalous?
Because we shouldn't be going for the cheaper option. If that's what the club want, there's the money. Let's have it. Now, I'm not saying that is. Well, I don't know. We don't know that, but I'm just putting that out there. Like, I think Gyokeres is the one. Let me put that out right. But at the end of the day, why, let's not get him. You don't want to get him on the cheap. If Real Madrid come for Saka, for instance, or even, dare I say it, Saliba, more realistic, and go, I'll tell you what, we give you 60 million for him.
I'm going to tell him to shove it.
Well, of course. Come back when you get so you can't take the mickey out of these teams no more. You know what I mean? Sporting have got, like, they're not going to let a player like him go for 55 million pound. One they're going to be a little bit. No, they know they've got to do it. But what have Sporting got to do next? They've got to find another one of them from somewhere.
They're going to get the price of that replacement's going to get bumped up as well. That's how the business works.
So I think that it's all things that need doing, like, and it's just all I will say is this, like, what I mean, like, come the end of the window, I do think Arsenal will get their business done, right? But for me, it's important that Zubimendi, that striker, and Eze, if it's Eze, like, those 3 players, those 3 big marquee players, are on the pre-season tour. So they get bedded in. So when we play the first few games, it's great. Getting Gyokeres 1 day before the season starts means that we have to go in with Havertz up front and no one else. You know, we went the whole of January to May with no forward. So let's say, like, you know, we go to the first game of the season, Gyokeres is not there. We don't know at this moment in time that if Havertz is going to be fit with the hamstring injury, anything.
Marino up top, if that's the case.
We're going to go into Marino up top again in the transfer window all summer. Come on, that is not right. The first thing that Arsenal should have done was get that signing done. That was the priority. It is the priority. Now, also we know, and other clubs know, that we need that. So they're going to try and pull our pants down a little bit. But I don't think that really Sporting are trying to do. I think that maybe with the Sesko one at 90 million probably. But, you know, I think it's a good deal. Come on, he's not actually asking for mega wages as well. It's not like, oh, we can't afford this and that. Just get the deal done. I'm fed up. I don't know about how you guys and in the chat and yourself. I'm fed up with hearing advanced stages. You know what I mean?
Oh, Lee, yes, advanced stages. We're monitoring. It's like watching a Netflix movie or series. Like, it's always dragged out. And I think everyone can understand, you know, transfers are delicate. It takes a lot of time, all of that. But then we quite frankly take the piss. It takes forever, really. So you're right on that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's frustrating, you know, like, and listen, there's a few of my mates that just switch off from it. Like a couple of my mates, and we like, you know, like in the group chats, and they just go, right, see you in August, and they just come out of it. Like, you know what I mean?
They got the right idea, to be fair.
Yeah, and I understand. That listen, fans go crazy and everybody goes crazy over a transfer window. It's you know, it is unbelievable. Like, you know,
the journalists as well.
Yeah. There's, you know, like people can't get enough of it. And you know, listen, I don't care when I was a kid growing up and it come through on the newspapers that someone has signed and you see him with the shirt and all that. It's exciting. Everybody likes a signing. It does excite you. It makes you feel great and all that, like, you know. And you different ways of doing it back to what it is now. And I get that football's changed and everything like that. But for me, I think that it does excite when a signing comes. You know, I remember 2 years ago, I was out in America when Declan Rice come on, and I can't remember who he was playing now. Like, I think we was playing All Stars, American team, if I remember rightly. But he only come on for 10 minutes. I was like a little kid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, like a little kid in a sweet shop, excited.
Yeah. You know, so it does. You know, I get all of that exciting and everything like that. Just give us the bloody striker. And it'd be interesting, like, does he wear the number 10, number 14, or does he get the number 9 off of Jesus? I don't know what would happen there. If I'll be really honest, if he does come, I'd like to see him in the number 9. I don't know about you, but
100%.
I don't, you know, I'd like to see Eze in the 14 if I'll be or a 10.
Or the 10, yeah, the 10's free as well.
10's free, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? But for me, like, you know, if you're going to sign the proper centre forward, mark it with the proper 9 on it. I know, like, people will laugh at me, and again, that's old school, isn't it? Like, do you know, like, you know, going off beat and all that, like, people go, oh, do you like the number 4? Would you like the number 14? No, because when I was playing, that was a sub. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so
Henri that made it special.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, let me tell you, you got number 12 or number 14, you'd be disappointing, like, you know. Give me a proper number, like, you know.
I think you're right, man. And do you know what? I don't want to talk about it from like a marketing point of view, but the quicker they get, you know, the club care about money, the quicker they get a number 9 in, and they were to give him the number 9, it sells a lot more shirts, it gasses fans, it gets, you know, scrambling for tickets and things of that, which is annoying. I want to ask you something on the striker thing, yeah, because I more kind of thought what I'm about to say would be the case if we got Sesko. Do you think Gyokeres will be the number 1? Because there's still some fans who feel, regardless of whatever striker comes in, we're going to persist with Kai Havertz through the middle, at least initially in the season.
Listen, no, you don't buy the number 9. I think Kai Havertz will still get his fair share of games, and you know, like, I would like to think that that's a rotator instead of like, you know, a backup or whatever. There'd be games when Havertz would play and you can rest Gyokeres. I'm on the old tennis here, aren't I? There'd be times when you can do that. Like, I don't see that. Maybe.
I hope not.
Listen, I think it's an unbelievable conversation you can have where actually are you going to play Kai Havertz, because let's get a couple of things right. You've got Kai who's a good player, and we're not saying he's not, you know what I mean? Like, but is he the one that's going to take you to the title as a centre forward?
Not as a regular, no.
No, you know what I mean? But spent a lot of money on him. It's big wages. I don't know how you'd feel about that if you was the main man and your backup is on twice as much money as you as well. I don't know how that, you know, like if you was doing like if me and you were doing a show together and like, I don't know, Talk Sport come up to us and said, right, you're going to host it. You're going to do all of that sort of stuff. Like, we're giving you £100 an episode, right? We're going to get Leon, like, he's going to do like, just come in there, just do his bit and then go off. We're giving him 200.
Hang on, I'm doing the legwork here. Where's the equality?
Yeah. Would you accept that? I don't know so much. You know what I mean? So
That's a good point.
I feel that this one with Havertz is going to be interesting. Do they put him back into the 8 role?
That's what I see happening.
Yeah, I do, and maybe like for a little while I do, and seeing Zubimendi and Rice playing that holding role until Zubimendi gets up and running. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. But I don't think you spend £70 million on a striker and then put him on the bench. You know, and if you listen, if they do, I ain't going to go mad about it, because, like, you know, say if we do that at Man United and then with an hour to go or half hour to go, Gyokeres comes on and bangs in a couple of goals, everybody going
happy as Larry.
So that may be that they do that on, you know, like, for instance, you're 2-0 up. You can bring on Kai Havertz, who can control the game more, I suppose. I don't know how this is going to work, you know what I mean? But you know what? I don't care. It's not my job to, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the manager is on enough money to work that out and be, and that's what he's got to do. I think that's been one of the faults for me about Arteta, is that he likes to play with too small a squad, and that has cost us. It's cost us players in injuries, and it's cost us going to the back end of the season when it really matters. We're a little bit jaded. So we need to have all of these players going into that, like, March, April, May, fresh as daisies and trying to get us through, like, you know. So, listen, I think all eyes on the manager, all eyes on the players, because at the end of it, like, if you do bring in Gyokeres and you bring in, say, Eze, you've got the tools all of a sudden. I think, you know, last season I don't know if people would give, listen, I think there were a few fans that would give Mikel a pass because they'd turn around and say, look, he didn't have a striker, injuries, and still done what he done. You know what I mean? Imagine if he had the right tools. Well, this is it now. This is your tool. You're going to get the tools. And if you don't get the tools, that's on you as well, Mikel.
We've got to have a conversation.
Yeah, that's because you've allowed it to happen. You allowed it to happen in January, and if you've got anything about you ain't going to allow it in this transfer window. So
can't make the same mistake twice.
No, exactly that, like, you know. And I don't think it's fair on us fans to go through another season or another half of a season without a striker. I still look at it, and I don't care what anybody says. For me, and this is me speaking personally, I think it's a scandal what they've done in January. And I'm not.
I can't sign that.
You know, to go through 5 months of the season without a recognised striker at a professional football club in the Champions League.
Not fair to the fans or the players.
Not fair on no one. And at the end of the day, give it a bloody good go to get to the semi-final. But, you know, if you'd have had a proper centre forward, maybe we'd have won that. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I know that you look at it and go, oh, it's brilliant and everything there. But if you had the right tools there, maybe you know, we could have gone there. And in the end, I look at it, and as well as we've done in it, I still look at it as a missed opportunity, because look at PSV. They was never done that to us. What they done to Inter Milan. So we weren't far off. Let's get that right. We weren't far off.
But we didn't seize the present moment. And that's been the case the last 3 years, really.
Yeah. And sometimes, dare I say it, those moments don't come along. You know what I mean? Like Real Madrid changed their manager. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, you might not get to the semi-final next time for whatever reason. Might be like...
I don't know what the future brings.
You don't know. So we was in the opportunity there, and for them to throw it away. And at the end of it, like, you know, not to get any striker. And one of the reasons that they said it was like, well, we're not going to bring in Ollie Watkins because it's going to, you know, impact on our striker. And here we are. What is it now? The 9th of July.
July even, yeah.
Still no striker through the door. I don't know how long the window's going, but if you want
September 1st, so like what, just under 2 months?
It's a saving. It's 2 weeks. So that's 5 weeks in January, 2 weeks now, 7 weeks, and they've done nothing. And you can even go like
in last summer as well.
Yeah. So like, you know, you've had a long enough time to get this over the line now. I laugh when people say, like, you know, I'll be patient. And listen, I've got funny. A few of my mates and all that. Like, we're in the group chats going like, you know, there's a few negative guys in, there's a few positive guys. There you go. Oh, you know what I mean? Where's your apologies? Say sorry now. The Cronkies and Arteta have done the business. And I looked at it and I said, what have we signed? Who have we signed? Have you seen
anyone at London goalie hold the shirt?
No, it's advanced. Ah.
You got to be holding shirts, man, and that's what frustrates me, because it's almost like I think there's many fans that have been patient, that have said where they're wrong and whatnot, but at some point the patience has to get cut. You have to be impatient, because we've known it's, for me, it's the areas we've known we've needed to address. I want to ask you something on the recruitment front. Do you think it's just a case of you get better players, like you get a striker, you get a left winger, and all our problems go away? Or do you think tactically, because I still think we'd struggle with breaking down low blocks? I guess what I'm saying is there still stuff Arteta has to do on a tactical front on the training ground, as well as bringing players in?
Been asked this question a lot. Like, if you bring in players like that, I think organically it changes. I think by bringing in a proper centre forward, your tactics change naturally. You know what I mean? I think that players can get better from it, i.e. Saka, where at this moment in time, he's got 3 players around him. Well, you know,
allow against the world, really.
Yeah. Allow those 3 players to mark him and leave Gyokeres free in the box score, and then do that if you dare. They can do that at the moment because Kai Havertz is playing, you know, in midfield or playing on one of the wings. You know what I mean? Like, so you want to do that. All of a sudden, you've got someone to hit in the box in a different area. Kai Havertz does a good job when it's on the halfway line, but you ain't going to hurt no one in the defence there. Like, but if you've got the ball and you're in and around, like Odegaard, all of a sudden he's got the wall on the 18-yard box. You know, you play that ball in there, runners coming off. I think it will help all over. I think that if you're a winger, when you go around your man, you look up, or you don't even have to look up. You know that there's going to be no one in the box because, you know, the player that should be in the box has just played in 1-2
in midfield.
Yeah, he's played you in midfield.
All the guys there are centre halves.
So you have to cut back, you know, or cut inside and whatever. But you know that. Listen, in football, there was always a thing of wide players, and you know, going back in my day, it used to be like a big practice, like, you know, get the ball out wide player hit near post. You know,
exactly
near post, and that was a goal. Whether that's out of the game or not, you know, I think Giroud done it a few times and got goals from it. But that's something that, you know, a wide player, like if he was a wide player, and I pick on Martinelli, he's a little bit more direct than Saka. So beat your man, cross the ball in near post, score. All of a sudden, oh, that's an assist for the wide player. You know, like puts the ball in now. no one there, gets cleared. So I think it could not only be beneficial for the centre forward, but also the players around them. And listen, if you're squeezing, as you know, you're squeezing a high line to get the players in behind, all of a sudden, like if you got someone like Gyokeres and that, the defence have to drop back another 10 yards. Well, what does that do? It opens up the midfield. All of a sudden, Odegaard's got a little bit more space than what
Rice and yeah, bang on.
You know, and you can go in there. Now, if you're playing against a low block team, right, you know, and they're playing deep, okay, that's fine. You've then got the option of putting it into the box. You've also got the option then of playing two, like an Eze and a Odegaard, to try and open up things from there. Like, so I do think that it will change slightly from that point of view.
I don't think you're lying. I want to get into some of the transfer stuff as well. Like, again, before we go back on Gyokeres, I think David Ornstein's actually, since we've been online, provided some sort of update. But what do you feel about Madueke and our pursuit of Madueke? I can't say I've got goosebumps.
I've got bumps, but they're certainly not goosebumps. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I think if you was to sign Gyokeres and you signed Eze and then you sign him, I've got no problems with that. I think, like, yeah, okay, that's all right. But if you sign Gyokeres and you turn around to me and say, we're signing him because we can't afford Eze, I will be furious.
This is what I'm saying, Lee. Like, there's no way in God's green earth that you can find the finances for Madueke and not Eze. I don't even know if Eze will continuously be our left winger or he'll be the option. But assuming he was, even though we know he can play in the 10, 8 and off the right, I reckon Madueke prefers to play in Saka's role, so off the right. Eze's probably better than him at that. Eze's clearly a level raiser where you look at Trossard or Martinelli. Madueke, it's kind of the same. I know people say he's young and you never know. And listen, I hope it ends up being a masterstroke. But I can't see how this is a level raiser. I don't see how this gets us closer to like what historically City have been and what Liverpool are at the moment. Like, am I wrong for thinking that?
Yeah, no. And at the end of it, like, you know, you're giving them 50 million as well on top of it, like helping them out, like, you know what I mean? Like, listen, if it was 20 million, I think they bought him for 20 million or 25.
So they're going to make profit.
Yeah. No, thank you. Oh, listen, you know what I mean? Like, if Arsenal do it and he comes to Arsenal, of course you're going to back him because he's an Arsenal player. He'd be an Arsenal player. But, you know what I mean? Like, on Arteta and the board, be it. Because if you're putting 50 million down for that, you are, how can I put it without being nice? Like, you know, you're putting that.
Say what you feel, man.
You're putting pressure on yourselves there if you don't do it.
Exactly.
Because I will look at that and go, like, that 50 million could have gone on Sesko if that's the striker you wanted, what I was saying earlier on, like, you know what I mean? You know, and that could have gone on Eze, or it could have gone on. You could have actually gone and maybe forced Real Madrid and gone and got a Rodrigo and an Eze as well. I just don't see the sense of it at this moment in time, like, you know what I mean? And listen, I've got no problem with when people turn around and go, oh, it's Chelsea and all that, like, you know what I mean? I've got no problem taking Kepa off of Chelsea for 5 million. I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem with the Kai Havertz one. The problem I've got with the Kai Havertz one is that I think we paid a little bit too much over.
Yeah, we fleeced ourselves
for a little bit, like, yeah, you know what I mean? So if you've done that once, why are you not doing that for the game changer that's going to win you the league? You know what I mean?
And it seems like we're always aggressively when it comes to like Madueke or this kind of caliber of player. Like it progresses quite quickly, but the others don't. So I don't know what's going on, man.
Well, I don't know. Like, Chelsea say it's 50 million, we go, yeah, hey, we'll pay that. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really understand that. Like, you know, it's particularly when these things are, you know, like if that comes in before. Listen, I'm not going to go too mad and all that, but like the next signing that Arsenal got to make, I know Norgard's done and dusted now. Like, the next signing is the striker. I don't care what it is, like, you know what I mean? Because I don't want that messing up the centre forward. And at the end of the day, we haven't got a centre forward come pre-season and all that. Like, I just think it'd be like, you know, there's people at this football club that I can't trust no more on doing deals. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I get it that, you know, it's not necessarily in order of whatever, like, but I think now, after what happened in January, like, I still, the forward should be the priority, the first one through the door. I don't, if Gyokeres gets signed tomorrow, I'm quite happy if whatever comes after that. I know that sounds like, you know what I mean, cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that.
Because you got your striker that we've wanted for years.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean, you feel like you've got a chance of going into the league to win things. You know what I mean? Come on, you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. I don't think that it's too much to ask. You know what I mean? Get your centre forward that you need, and then, like, you know, anything that happens after that, you know, I don't think Arsenal fans would be as wild about it as they are. You know what I mean?
We'd be more open to it.
Yeah, listen, I think that, you know, Man United, Liverpool, Man City, all transfers take their time. You know what I mean? And, you know, like, for instance, Man United find it difficult. They get the job done in the end. Like, and everybody goes, well, why is it Arsenal say? I think most teams do this, but because it's us, you're heavily involved in it, aren't you? Like, you know, so
PTSD.
Yeah. So listen, I just think that, you know, get the striker done, and it just takes a little bit of pressure off of everybody. Like, you know, I've got no interest in going to the Emirates Cup at the moment. I've got no interest in Arsenal at this moment in time until that gets done, because I know what's coming. You know, I've had 3 years of backing it, and still you haven't got what you need. I look at it and go, like, what do we need? We need a striker. Well, go and get it, like, you know what I mean? And people go, oh, and then people pat you on the back. Oh, we needed a midfield player to boost to the squad and all that. Yeah, we do, but we ain't going to get you nowhere. At the end of the day, the striker does. And I'm sorry, in football, there's 3 or 4 players, whatever level you're at, that make the difference. And one of them is a centre forward.
That's why they're paid so much, and everybody loves them.
Exactly that. You know what I mean? And if everybody could do it, it wouldn't be, would it?
Exactly. And our striker at the moment, or 2 of our best options on paper, they actually weren't bought to the club to be strikers. So we've kind of failed upwards in that regard. Like, again, that's the frustration with me, Lee. I agree with everything you say. It's just the fact of it's needed to happen for years. Like, fair enough, if we were in May towards the end of the season, we stumbled across on the fact that we need a forward, great, but we needed to do a lot of this last summer. Now, granted, time's gone, it is what it is, but just make sure you get everything done. There's a question on screen here, and I want to know your thoughts. To be honest, I do have questions. Eze plus Rodrigo. So I think they're saying, on one hand, would you want Eze and Rodrigo but no striker, or a striker and one of Eze/Rodrigo?
Striker and one of the other. I think that if you've got Rodrigo and Eze, you'd still be there, but you're staying in the same position. You know what I mean? Like, they're not goal scorers. You know, we need a goal scorer. We need someone that's going to not only put the ball in the back of it. Listen, if we played Man United in the FA Cup and we had a goal scorer, we go through in that game. The reason we didn't go, we had 2 gilt-edged chances in that game. Havertz from 5 yards and missed it. The centre forward gets those goals. A proper centre forward gets those goals.
Last 2 times went out the FA Cup because we never had one that was going to put the ball in the back of net against United. It's annoying.
And you walk away with it, and you turn around and you walk out the ground going, I didn't play well today, but we're through. You know, even
and the 14 draws in the Prem, if we had a striker, we might have been crap, but we got 3 points. We keep it moving.
Exactly. And we've all played. I've played in games when you've not played, you know, you've been up against
it. You know, you've been shit.
Up against it. Yeah. Like, you know, been outplayed, and all of a sudden you 2 breakaways and you've scored 2 goals. And, you know, I can't emphasize it. I know it's the same. I say it all the time. Like, our vets team have got two of the best forwards in the league. Like, you know, I mean, they won 2 games last season we played without them. We drew both games 0-0.
See, that's why you need strikers, man. They can get you out of jail. They can be cold-hearted killers. You need a forward.
Like, one was in a cup final, which we ended up winning on penalties, and the other one was a league game we drew 0-0. But, you know, and then the following week they're back, we win 4-0, 5-0. They make a difference. They're game changers. You know, I'm not saying at any centre forward. They've got to be bloody good.
They have to be, especially because we've been waiting years for one now.
But, you know what I mean? Like, there were times, you know what I mean? And at the end of it, like, I go back. I relate more to this now than anybody. Like, people won't remember Ian Wright. They may do, may not. Like, so we're going to Robin van Persie. I remember going to Liverpool and being outplayed at Liverpool, and he ended up scoring 2 or 3.
Exactly.
And we ended up winning the game. And he scored a couple of goals in that game. But if he doesn't play in that game,
we don't
win that game.
We don't win. A couple of years ago, Aubameyang and Adebayor and Henry, when I think like 07, 06, something like that. The early Emirates era, that kind of happened when we played Man United at the Emirates. So you're right, we can get out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it happens all the time. And listen, that is why they're paid millions and millions of pounds and all that. Unbelievably, like, you know, as someone has said earlier on, I don't know what I was watching. I was watching something like, you know, that I think it was Jordan said it. I think that the last 3 big signings have all been midfield players. I think it was Rice, Casido, and the other Chelsea midfield player, Enzo.
Yeah.
All over $1 million, all over 100 million. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so makes us look a bit silly when we're saying that, but like it still does. Listen, if, for instance, Newcastle come out tomorrow and said he's up for sale, you ain't getting him for 50 million, are you?
You got to pay a premium. Just like half of the big name players we're linked with.
Exactly. And why is that?
Because they cost a lot because of what you've been saying. They win games, they score goals, they're a hot commodity. Even in today's day and age, where I actually think the left wing and the striker market, to us football fans, there's a lot of good players, but there's not that many players you could hang your hat on and say, yeah, they're improving us. Like, you mentioned Isaac up front, that would be the dream. That's not happening. Then it's between Gyokeres and Sesko. So it's like, oh, that's why you're right in the point you just made.
Well, I think someone might just mentioned Harry Kane in the chat there. I just see it go through, but he went for 100 million at 30 years of age.
Strikers, because they win games.
Because you win games. We didn't win for Spurs, but he did win. He did. He got them to finals.
Yeah,
you know
what? When he left, they won. Unfortunately,
for him, they wouldn't have got like after. You know what I mean? But like, this is what it's all about. Like, you know. So at the end of it, look, I'm pretty confident that Arsenal will get the man that they want. But for me, I think it is all about the forward. Get the forward in now, and then all the other things will come into play. I also think that if you was, I don't know, an Eze or even a Rodrigo, if you all of a sudden like Gyokeres has come in, you think as a player, you're thinking, well, they've got Gyokeres now, they've got Saka, they've got Martinelli, they've got Eze, they've got Odegaard. I'll fancy a bit of that. I might be able to, enjoy that.
They might tell Saka and Saliba to sign new deals because we're actually
all of that goes into play as well. Of course it does. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, I'll tell you what, like Zubimendi, like, you know, is a good signing. You know what I mean? There's other clubs that wanted Zubimendi, as we all know, but he chose us. It's got to be a reason why he decided that he didn't want to go to Liverpool and didn't want to go here and didn't want to go there and chose Arsenal. There must be something that enticed him to there, and you know what I mean. So, I'm not having it. It's just London, you know what I mean. So there must be talks.
But it's not the overriding factor.
Yeah, we're going to get so and so. We're going to get this player, and we're going to get that player. So I do think that let's just try and relax a little bit before we go too mad about it. But I do think that, you know, time's ticking now. I do really feel that we need to have that centre forward on the plane to Singapore. I really do. especially with the games that we've got coming up as well. You know what I mean? Like I just said, as we're talking, like they've announced that the Liverpool game's on a Sunday now, like, you know, which we knew it would be. But those first 3 or 4 games are big games for us, like, you know what I mean? And you want the centre forward up and running there. I feel, you know, I mean, you go to that game against Man United and you've got, like, I don't know, even if you say like Eze's not there, Eze on the bench, you've got Martinelli, Gyokeres and Saka as your front three, like, you know what I mean? Like Zubimendi's in the, you know what I mean? Like, or, you know, or you look on the bench and you've got Eze on the bench, you've got Havertz on the bench, Zubimendi on the bench. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? You think, whoa.
Got
like,
options.
We had, like, there was too many games last season. I know we had a lot of injuries, but there was too many games where we had 4 players. A couple of them have left now without even playing, that were never played for Arsenal and just sat on the bench for 2 months, 3 months.
Even when we beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, we had a bunch of kids and they've been released.
On the bench, you know what I mean? So this is what we need to do. It is about strengthening the squad, and that makes you stronger for other competitions as well.
I don't think you're lying, man. One love for the super chat, Hakeem. Hakeem has said, if we get Rodrigo, Eze, and Victor, do we really trust Arteta to do what's necessary for us to win in? For me, he has to make it happen, innit? I would say I need, regardless of who comes in, I need personally Arteta to evolve tactically. I think we're a bit predictable. I don't really feel our midfield central areas really exploit sides. It's been 2 years for me that we've had no answers to a low block, for example. And then obviously at times Arteta needs to be more proactive in changing, but it would go some way. But where do you stand on that, Lee?
Listen, I think Arteta, whatever you're going to say, is going to come under pressure and that. I'm in the camp at the moment. Look what he done from January to May. He got a tune out of Marino up front. Got
clearly a good manager.
Goals. So what if he's got a proper centre forward? You know, I do think he deserves a chance of that. Like, I don't know if that was his decision last year. You know, so many things happened in the summer. Edu left because of it. You don't know what really went on. Like,
a lot of moving parts on and off the field.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to say this now. Like, you know, give Arteta the proper tools and let's see what happens. If he's got the proper centre forward and we don't win the league next season or we don't challenge for it, then there's debates and rightly so. But for me, I think he deserves that chance to have that proper centre forward up there. Like, you know, and people go, oh, he's going to mess it up. Well, all right, mess up what? You know what I mean? We're second in the league. You know what I mean? Like, we challenged for the league in the last couple of years, something that we haven't done for a very, very long while.
It's about getting over the line now.
Getting over the line. And there's a difference between managing a team to get into the top 4 and whatever, but which he's done. You know what I mean? 2 or 3 years ago, we wasn't even in the Champions League. We're in the Champions League now. But what it is now, and as far as I'm concerned, is you've got yourselves to a certain position in the league, second. People take the mickey out of you for that, like, but all those teams would love to be in that position as well.
Clearly, like, a good team. It's just, can we become a winning team?
It is now. Can you get us over the line? Are you the man to take us over the line? And that's not a criticism. It's
just a fair question.
It's a question, and
it's flirted with it.
One that's there. I love him to get us over the line and
we all would
prove everybody wrong. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? And if he does get us over the line next season, and the people that want him out, I'm pretty sure they go, there's my hands, I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair play. I got what I wanted.
Fair play. I got what I wanted. So I don't see that it is a criticism of questioning him on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think
Lee, there's a cult following, man. There's people that are religiously haters of Arteta, and then there's a cult following. And for me,
it works both ways.
Yeah, that's what it's too much division. Like, give the man his props and give the man his critiques where fair. And that goes for all the players and everything with this club. But that's not how it is.
I'm in a position of I don't understand why he's got this so much love for the, you know what I mean? Like, because I think
they fancy him.
I don't know what it is, because I think at the end of the day, I think what he's done is what I expect any Arsenal manager to do. You know what I mean? Challenge for the title. I'm not saying that they should win it, but that's the least I expect. But then can you go on and win it? And I don't care. Excuse me. I don't care if
Bless you. Bless you again, Lee.
I don't care. You know, if he wins it, fantastic. If someone else comes and wins it, you know what I mean? I don't understand that side of it, but I don't understand the hate side of it as well.
Neither do I.
There's so much hate for him as well, like, because he has done us a good job as well, like, you know what I mean?
It's got us to this point. Like, it's just like what you said earlier, it's over the line time now.
Yes. And I don't think that, as I said, I don't think that's a criticism that should be used. I think, you know, at the end of it, it's a fair question and he's got to answer it. And I'm sorry, you're in elite sport. You know, you're getting paid top money. And that's why. And listen, Mikel's ruthless and has been ruthless with players over the years.
Chat, listen to what Lee says, because what do I always say? But go on, Lee, take it away, because he's going to say exactly what I say.
He's been ruthless with like the likes of Aubameyang. He's been ruthless with the likes of
Tierney, Ramsdale, even now Tommy Asu.
You know, like Tommy Asu, ruthless as anything. That, if you be honest, I'm not saying, but that's how football.
That's how we should be moving. There's too much sentiment.
So you've got to be ruthless the other way. I think that in football, you know, the higher you go up, the more ruthless it is. I think two things. One of my coaches said to me, like, you know what I mean, and it's true. He says, like, the higher you go up, two things definitely happen. Right? One, it gets more ruthless.
Facts.
And the other one is you travel more.
He said, well, yeah, up and down, yeah. And the hardest thing to do once we get to that mountain is to stay there.
Yeah, and it's so true. You know what I mean? Like, if the higher you go up in football, the more travelling you do. You know, and it's true. But the other side of it is it's ruthless. And it's true, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a manager and you're managing, I don't know, like a non-league team that's not paying no money, right? It's very hard, you know, hard to replace you. But if you're at a club where, you know, you're getting paid £100 a week, there's plenty of players you can get for £100 a week and come and play for your football club. So if you're not doing a business, you're going to be replaced. You know what I mean? Like, and if you get into a club
that goes for working life as well,
£200 for it, of course, and it goes up and up and up. So it is. So when you're in the Premier League, of course, it's ruthless. You know what I mean? Like, and it will be, and that's how it is. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that as a manager with Arteta, he's had more than enough grace.
Been there 5-6 years. I don't even like to do the whole 5-6 years thing, but like last 3 years we've been in. You've got us to this point, and I rate you as a manager. I think you've shown bloody big bollocks to take a massive job like Arsenal with no CV. I think you've got a lot wrong. I think you've got a lot right. I think when it's all said and done, going back to what you said, people can take the piss out of us for finishing second, but we're not getting embarrassed in the champs. We are a difficult team to play against in these 3 years. Not so much last year, but he showed me many different ways of playing and being hard to beat. Like top 6 games used to be a write-off. Now they, you know, we've got a good record. The issue is because I rate you so highly, I have to hold you to them standards. It's like with Bukayo Saka. I think you're world class. So if you're getting 5 goals across a 38-game season, I'm going to have something to say. And I do think that has to extend to Arteta. And I'd say the bigger one for me, Lee, is now, I know you're a good manager. I applaud you for everything you've done. But can you get us into that realm? And I hope you can. But even if you're not, and you're the guy that's got us to this point, and someone else might enjoy the fruits of your labor, fair play. A lot of people say, if Arteta was sacked tomorrow, who'd we get? That's a fair question. But then they always say the same thing about, Arteta might get frustrated with the regime at Arsenal and leave. So I always say, Lee, okay, cool. Let's just assume Arteta's you know what? We're not from the same hymn sheet now. I want to leave. I want to go. If he leaves, the club's still going to be here. We're going to have to find another manager. So my point is, until we get over the line, there's got to be something said. Like even I think there's two things that I think have harmed Arteta. I think not winning domestic trophies on top of winning the FA Cup would have probably alleviated some pressure. And a lot of people said, you know what, we've given it a good go, but we're playing a master team in Man City. They're powerhouses. They're great. If they ever fall off, we're going to be there to pounce. Now, as you saw last season, we wasn't there. Liverpool was there, whether we shape it or not. So I think that puts a bit more pressure in. Even like the Super Chat is saying we're the favourites for the Premier League next year. As it stands, for me, I don't believe such.
No, I don't think that we are. But I'll tell you what, you know, and there's some great points you make there. Like, you know, under Arsene Wenger, we won FA Cups and that. Like, yeah, let's go back to that. And when people turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I want us to win the FA Cup," right? And if Arteta had done that, then fine. You know what I mean? And I get that. I do get that. But I remember going to Anfield, Manchester City, Manchester United, winning those FA Cups and getting smashed 4 or 5-0 or 4-5-1, being beaten at half time in those games.
Write-offs.
And I was walking out. No one was going like, oh, that's all right, we won the FA Cup. You know what I mean? Like, it was genuinely like rawness. Now, wherever we go, whether it be, you know, like Tottenham, like last 3 years we've won there. We haven't won there for I don't know how many years before that. We go to Manchester City. I come away out of Manchester City disappointed that we've conceded a last-minute goal with 10 men. I've got to go to Man United, disappointed that we've drawn 1-1. I go to Liverpool over the last few years, not beaten them, but not lost to them. I come out of Anfield a few years ago. We were 4-1 down at half time. So wherever we go in the country, I feel that we've got a chance of winning games of football and not get humiliated. Look, you're going to get beat. Every now and then you're going to get beat, and we have. But we go to grounds feeling. Listen, I've gone to grounds like Man City over the last few years. Chelsea as well. I'm going to bring that one into it because we haven't lost there for a while. Chelsea and Liverpool, hoping that we don't get humiliated by 3 or 4. Right? And not hoping, you know, but I genuinely go to these games now thinking that we might win a game. So is that down to the manager? Is that down to the players and whatever? We've improved. Yes.
I have to give the manager and everyone credit.
Yes, we drew loads of games last season that we shouldn't have done, and that's got to be improved. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we should be saying, right, this is that. There's things that Arteta has got to do next season. It's no good saying to, right, this, for instance, right, well, get rid of Martinelli. He's had one bad season or whatever, like, you know what I mean, or he's not improved. You're the same with the manager. The manager's got to improve every season as well, like, you know what I mean?
And this was the first year last year he didn't. So I need him to.
Exactly that. Now, he's had 14. Now, he should be sitting in his office today or when he sits down with whoever. What do we need to improve on, right? You can say goal scoring, you can say this. My thing is like 14 times we drew in the league. We've got to knock that down to 5, right?
7 max.
Right.
If that.
What do we need to do? So that's what we've got to do. We've got to start winning games that we were drawing. And the reason I think that we were drawing games last season more than winning those games was because he was afraid more to lose a game than win a game. He needs to get out everything. Now, if he's got the centre forward and all that, that might change. But that's something we've got to improve on. So there's things for Arteta to improve on and make sure that he's better on. And if he's not, and you know, for instance, if Arsenal finish second again next season, 14 draws or 13 draws and 12 draws and an extra defeat and all that, yeah, you're right, we're going to look at him and go like, you know, I mean, this is not acceptable. He's put you. Sometimes your success can be your failure. He's put us into this position, right?
Yeah, you die by the standards you set and the things you say.
Exactly that. That's a great quote. It's a great quote. He has now got to make it happen. You know, he's got us to a certain level. Now that's the same as you can. Let's look at any footballer. Let's look at Ramsdale. Got us to a Champions League. Got us into the Champions League. Arteta felt that he couldn't take us to the next level. That's the same with the manager. The same with a manager, like, you know what I mean? Like, right, you've had a couple of bites at it now. Are you the man to take us to that level? If you're not, if you can't do it, we'll get someone else in. And like, you know, this thing about, oh, well, who are we going to get and all that, like, you know what I mean? I don't see other teams worrying. Like, Liverpool, you know, had a far, far better manager than Mikel Arteta in Klopp. Far, far better manager. He went and look at them. So I don't buy into all of that, like, you know what I mean? Like, and, you know, so you no one's irreplaceable. You know, I remember being, well, what are we going to do when Ian Wright leaves Arsenal? Nicholas Anelka come along. When Nicholas Anelka went, well, that's us finished and all that. Thierry Henry come in there, like, and you can go on about Thierry Henry was unbelievable. Never going to replace Thierry Henry and the likes of Patrick Vieira. They're greats. But what you got in there, along come Van Persie scoring goals left, right, and centre. Addy Bayor come in there, like, it'll always go on. And it's the same with managers. Same with managers. You know what I mean? Like, so Arteta's under pressure, and ain't make no mistake about it. He's under pressure because why? Of what he's done to get us to where we had. And do you know what's more important why he should be under pressure? Because he's Arsenal manager.
Exactly, and pressure's a privilege. Either it makes diamonds or it bursts his pipes. And even to, not that I think the Cronkies will necessarily sack Arteta if we get top four. If we, in terms of the finishes in the competitions this year, God forbid, but if we fast forward to the end of this season coming, if it was the same thing, I don't think they're going to necessarily get rid of him. But all those people that say, who are we going to get? They conveniently forget that we got Arteta when he had no CV. He was part of Pep Guardiola's coaching stuff. So if you can find someone like that, you must be able to find someone. But for me, as Lee said, and everyone else, we hope it works for Arteta. It's just a fair question if we don't get it through the line. Like, it's all fun and games, beating Real Madrid, not getting embarrassed in the champs, great record against the top six, all of that sort of stuff. But when it's all said and done, there's nothing set in history. And my biggest fear in that, I believe in taking full advantage in your life of the present. We've had 3 years, different sort of shenanigans to speak about. We finished second. So let's just be hard on the problem and try to get over the line. Obviously, Lee, you kind of mentioned that, you know, Gyokeres was the one you wanted. It seems like we're making progress. They were haggling over 5 million as we've all seen. Before I ask you the other question, did you think we'd go for Gyokeres over Sesko? Because I must admit, I did think Sesko was the one the club would go for.
I did think Sesko, but again, like, you know, my mate said the other day, I can't take credit for it. Like, you know, he's not quite ready yet. Like, so bringing Gyokeres in 2 years' time, go and get Sesko. That's what you want. What we need at the moment is maybe Sesko is a higher seeding, but we're at a stage now where we're 3 years. Bomb. We need the right man now, the real deal now, and that is him. You know what I mean?
No potential, just ready.
So for me, you bring him in, you might be for 2 years, and then like Sesko might be ready, and then you go, do you know what? Ruthless. There you go.
There'll be a next Sesko about as well. In a 5-year period for Gyokeres being here, there'll be a next one. We might look back at Sesko and be upset, but if Gyokeres does the business and we win the league,
that we need it now. We need it now. Like Sesko, I think is a good player. I think that maybe seeding's higher in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. I think maybe he's going to be a good player. But at the end of the day, I think to spend a lot of money on potential, I think you've got to have the real deal. That's why I thought we would go for Sesko. If you want me to be really honest and put me head on the chopping block, I'm going to say probably Sesko's the better player. Got a little
he probably is. Like, I always get bantered on the very platform we're using right now because people said, like, you just DG, you love centric, you love potential too much. I said I like Gyokeres and I like Sesko. I can see how Sesko can tie in, etc. I do believe he's going to have a great future, but I can also understand when people are like, oh, he's got 13 goals. Equally, one thing that attracted me to Gyokeres, he's 27. It's win now mode. This is the biggest it's going to get for you. And we've all seen and heard the little things down to leaving his girlfriend and the ruthlessness he's showing to get this move. Imagine what he'll do to score goals. And for me, I'm intrigued because I think we get too caught up as Arsenal fans. Of course, you need players that fit the manager's system and all of those things. But I think we get too caught up on that, and I think we've become a bit rigid with Gyokeres. He's not the typical, in my opinion, Mikel Arteta striker. Like, his general play might not be up there to a Kai Havertz or things like that, but he's a cold-hearted killer. So it's going to force Mikel Arteta to try things differently. I'm not comparing him to Haaland, for example, because Pep Guardiola's won it with no striker, with a striker in, and with hella false nines. But when he got Haaland, he had to know that Haaland's general play isn't like how my other forwards are. So I'm going to meet him halfway. I need you to do 50% of what you are, Haaland, and I also need you to buy into the philosophy, where to press and all of that. And I think that would be the case with Gyokeres. And the main thing for me is, let's all be honest, Saka for the last 3 years been our only consistent goal scorer. He is too big of a burden for him to carry. So if you get the Gyokeres, if you get someone on the left-hand side that brings numbers, you've got the Havertz and Trossards and Martinellis and all them guys, chipping in with goals here and there, we're happy as Larry. But we need to go and get the other two pieces of the puzzle. I do want to ask you, though, because I understand, people can have their viewpoints between Sesko and Gyokeres and whatever, but I do think there's been a lot of, from some sections of our fan base, a lot of they're really against Gyokeres, and some, like this tweet says here, is some people genuinely don't feel he's a better forward than Kai Havertz. Like, where do you stand with that? I think that's crazy.
There's an argument that he's probably not a better footballer than Havertz. You know what I mean? Havertz probably link up play might be better and all that, but it's not. That's not what we want. We want a goal scorer. Who's better goal scorer? And that's. You know what I mean? That's what we want. Why are people... Listen, Aubameyang was a great goal scorer, but he let us down, or what his weakest part of his game was his hold-up play and everything like that, right?
He's just a goal scorer.
He was just a goal scorer. You've got to be a little bit more than that if you want to win things at the top level now. Like, you've got to be a goal scorer, but you've got to be out holding the ball up. Now, what I've seen of Gyokeres, and I've watched him in the Champions League, I've actually seen him play against Arsenal when he hardly got a kick of the game, but he still caused problems, still held the ball up under pressure of two of the best central defenders in the league, in Gabriel and Saliba. He can do that, but he's a natural goal scorer, like more of a goal scorer. Like, I look at it, and I don't mean this as a criticism for Kai Havertz and all that. I think that Kai goes to sleep, puts his head on his pillow with a big smile on his face, whether he scored or whether he's assisted. Right? I don't think Gyokeres does. I think he goes to bed very, very happy when he scored, not so happy when he ain't. Now, he has created a lot of goals as well, and he has assisted. If you have a look at his assist rate, he's a good...
And his head won't drop if you don't back.
No, I think he's a player that... And also, this is a guy, and I think that this sometimes goes a little bit like Ian Wright to a certain degree. This is his big moment. He's been working all his life at Coventry to go to Sporting.
Didn't happen for him at Brighton either.
Yeah, to get the big offer, big chance to make it happen. And you've got an opportunity, a once in a life opportunity to do it at Arsenal. Like Ian Wright did. You're not gonna mess around. You're gonna be right up for it. So I just think that, listen, like Kai Havertz is a different sort of a player, and that's the difference between you don't get 50 goals playing like Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz wouldn't get 50 goals in Portugal because he plays a different way.
Exactly. And that's what people fail to understand, Lee. It's like, obviously, I'm not saying Gyokeres is perfect. I don't feel there is a player who's perfect. But at the end of the day, if we want general play, Kai Havertz's general play, objectively, could be better than Gyokeres's. Gabriel Jesus probably has better general play than Gyokeres and obviously Haaland. But he can't do what we need them to do. And I know the game's changed and strikers got to pull out wide. And it is a selfless act. I feel I would prefer to be a winger than a striker, because I think that's where you get your 1v1s. We need someone that can put the ball in the back of the net. Like, when I watch his highlights or watch his games, of course he scored a variety of finishes and great goals, but it's actually, Lee, for me, the unglamorous ones. Like, he's in the box, he just bought a yard of space, left foot, bang, out of there, he scored. We need a couple of that. Going back to what you said with the draws, if we had that, those draws, it's not the only reason we drew games, but some of those where we've just needed to kill teams, it starts to change, and I'm all for it. Do you think we're going to get Eze?
Yes.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. Do you think we get Rodrigo?
No. I think we get Gyokeres and we get Eze, and we might get the Chelsea guy. I think that Eze will. Listen, I think Rodrigo, if it was to happen, will be right at the end. Right at the end.
That's what that was my thinking, and I think they're like, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Like, you look at Eze, that's about 60 odd. Gyokeres about 70 odd. Madueke, we're hearing about 50 odd. Obviously, I don't know how much the club earn and whatnot, but surely all of this can't happen without getting a move on and selling players that actually need to go, and maybe quote unquote an unpopular sell. You know, Trossard and Martinelli are linked with moves away.
Well, sometimes, you know, there's always got to be a sacrifice somewhere along the line, isn't there? Like, you know, whether that is Martinelli, I don't think it will be Martinelli. I think he'll be. Trossard's done fantastically well as a squad player, but you know, like to bring in money for him and at his age, it's hard. Again, we're talking, it's ruthless, but that's how it is. Yeah, like, you know, I think we need. Listen, I think if you was to get Eze and Gyokeres, Zubimendi, that's good business. I would, you know, like to get Rodrigo, I would go the extra mile and get him than spend 50 million on a backup.
I'd been off the Madueke stuff. I hope it's a master stroke, and it just shows why I'm a fan. But
you got like Wanyeri as well to add to that attacking flair as well. So I think that if you got Eze and Gyokeres, I'm not saying you're going to win the league, but you've got a bloody good chance. You've got a bloody good chance.
You put your best foot forward.
Yeah. So like, you know, that's how I see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to get like Rodrigo or an Anthony Gordon, that sort of type of player as well, because that just adds more directness to the team, if you like.
As it stands, this man's still, in my opinion, the first choice left winger, unless it's a master stroke with Madueke. Martinelli's still starting, and I love Martinelli. Everyone knows that. But if we want to cross into winning titles, I need to know definitely my front three are getting certain amount of goals. I know Saka can do it. I believe Gyokeres could at least get 15, 20. I don't think Martinelli and Trossard are bad, and I don't think Madueke. I think they could chip in and go through purple patches, but I don't know. Like I've been saying on my channel, apart from Saka, I know we will score goals. We'll probably get 90 to 100 goals. I know players will score goals, but who? I don't know, and I need to be able to answer these things. Well, I need to think I can answer these things as a humble fan, I'd say.
As we're saying, like, you know what I mean? I think that if Martinelli stays, it's make or break for him this season. He's got to perform.
Him and Odegaard.
Listen, you know, Odegaard as well. But the back end of last season, I thought that Martinelli was probably our best forward out of all of them. I felt Saka done incredibly well to come back, even play at the level he did. Incredible, but you know, I mean, nowhere near at the level that he was before he got injured. By the way, but. You know what I mean? So you imagine if you've got, you know, a couple of years ago, you had Saka flying down one. So Martinelli, do you remember we went to Liverpool? I know we drew 2-2 in the end of the game, but for 30 minutes of that game.
It was in dreamland.
Liverpool
was quiet until the Saka thing.
Yeah, Liverpool could not handle us, you know what I mean? So we've got to try and get back to that. I think that, if I'll be really honest, I think that Jesus was a massive loss to us with his injuries. I think that if he'd have stayed fit, if he'd have stayed fit, we wouldn't be having this conversation so much now. I do think we would have won it that season, because he was just incredible until that World Cup.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of the end, and even his future subject to speculation.
Yeah. We you know what I mean, we run out of steam, but at the end of it, like, you know, if he would have stayed fit, who knows? You know what I mean? I think he's a wonderful footballer. I really do. Again, not the goal scorer, but he brought other players into the game, made it. You know, I remember playing
great facilitator.
Yeah, playing against Wolves. Funny, the game before the World Cup, he didn't score, but he was the one that created it, and you know, you just think it was a matter of time before we scored. But you know, listen, I like to see him come back, but I just ain't going to get back to the level.
Two ACLs is harsh, man.
It's just a tragic.
Horrible
to have. So, you know, like I think at the end of the day, if Martinelli comes in, he's going to have to, you know, or he stays or whatever. There's pressure on him, but I think the kid can handle it. I'd love it. I'd love him to score 20 goals next season and prove everything.
I still think there's something in him, but you're not doing it, are you? I don't know why you don't play up front.
He doesn't play with the protection of Saka, where he's got a right back behind him. He has to play like with no one covering left back because he's gone inverted and whatever. I think that there is defensive duties to his game, which limits him a little bit. I'm not making excuses. I think that's a fact. But at the end of the day, so maybe Arteta's got to tinker with that. I think that there's a little bit of pressure on Arteta to get the best out of the front three as well. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think it's just like, you know, oh, let's go and spend 60, 70 million. You potentially got a 60, 70 million pound player already there and you want to sell. So I think, you know, a little bit on Arteta to get that done, get that right as well.
Why don't you think Martinelli's been given a go as a number 9?
He had a couple of games last season and scored.
Yeah, he's flirted with it, yeah.
I don't know. I think that, you know, he proved the manager a little bit wrong last season with a few of those games. I think, if I'll be really honest, if the one thing that I would say is his physicality. I think you need to have that big, strong player up front, a little bit like, you know. So
bit one-dimensional as well.
Maybe.
Which is a bit jarring.
Got pace though, isn't he? And can finish.
Love him.
Can finish. I think, like, also with Martinelli, I think people missing out the thing is that he can play up in 3 positions. He can play wide right, he can play wide left, he can play down the middle. So if he was to become a squad, not first choice, he's definitely a rotator that can go into different positions and still getting a lot of game time at Arsenal. But I think it's massive that he proves himself.
I think you're bang on the money. My last 2 questions for you, Lee, man. We've been linked with Wanjeri potentially signing a new deal, and Saliba's apparently been given his first proposal of a new contract. What do you make of that?
Yeah, listen, Wanjeri, I've got no worries about that with Wanjeri. I think.
Hope so.
I think that he'll sign. I'm a little bit baffled when people are starting to criticise him because he's asking about his game time. Why shouldn't he ask what his plans are like? You know what I mean? I've just signed this. I want to know where I'm going to play, what I'm going to do, and whatever.
How I figure into the plans.
Yeah, exactly. Why shouldn't he ask that? Like, you know, so for me, that's not a problem. And if you're good enough, you will get games, and he will get games, and he will be a big star. Saliba, listen, I know for a fact that he's very, very happy at Arsenal, loves Arsenal, very, very settled at Arsenal. And at this moment in time, not wanting to move.
It will happen one day, but like, yeah, we need to.
That may come but can I emphasise this? It may happen whether he's winning trophies or not. Arsenal may win the league for the next 3 years. He still may want to go. Like,
look at Trent and Ronaldo.
Trophies. It will help if he wants to stay. If he wants to leave, whether he's won trophies or not, he'll leave. That is how it is. But at this moment in time, he wants to win and wants to win big with Arsenal. So, you know, Arsenal might win the double next season, and he could, you know what, I've done what I've done here and want away. So when people say, "Oh, we've got to win things and all that," not necessarily. This moment
it's the nature of the game.
Yeah, and the one thing with him, and I think it's a big thing with him, he knows how good he is. He knows he's one of the best.
You hear the way he speaks.
Know that as well, like, you know. So at the end of the day, I think he'll be offered a big contract, and deservedly so.
Deservedly so. Last question for you, Lee, is from the chat before I let you get out of it. Lee, would you be comfortable if we are penny pinching at the moment to get Rodrigo when he becomes available because he's our top target? We don't have endless money and can't recklessly. I think they mean spend recklessly. Where are you at with that, Unks?
Do you know what? I think it's a nice thought. I think you'd go along with that thing.
It's wishful.
But then when you're looking to put 50 million down for a backup, I don't hold it. I don't hold that fact. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'd rather like forget about that one and move to other things. Listen, I understand that you've got, you know, other, you know, you want to get this and want to get that, and there's a structure and there's a wage cap and whatever, and this and this and that. There's only a certain amount you can spend. And listen, you have to, you know, like juggle it about a little bit. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm not happy with a skinflinting on something that we desperately need and we've needed for the last 2 years. I'm sorry, and I don't think it's acceptable. That centre forward should be in the door now, and we shouldn't be haggling over 2 million or 3 million. You know what I mean? That should be done, sorted.
I can't disagree with what Unks has said there, man. Again, for me, I think maybe in previous years you could have, I might not have agreed with it, but I'd be more relaxed on those kind of things. I think with what we haven't done in a few years, what we want to do next year, we've left ourselves no room for error. We need to address all the areas. We need the striker, we need the winger, and you got to be able to pivot. I would love to sit here and say we're going to get Rodrigo, Eze, and Gyokeres, but you might be able to get Gyokeres, Eze, and I don't know, some random Joe Blogs that can do what we would want Rodrigo to do, but isn't of the same caliber and I guess the same amount of money. Respectfully to Madueke, if we've got 40, 50, maybe even 55 million for Madueke, there's got to be some other options, to which I'll back Madueke all the way. I hope it's a master stroke and I hope it's not indifferent, because there is going to be a serious amount of, maybe not internally at Arsenal, but externally, us fans would like to see us get over the line because we flirted with success. And I don't want to be harsh, but it's got to mean something. It's nice to beat Real Madrid. It's nice to have a top 6 record, but we need something in history. And for these players, I do feel we're at that stage. As I said, I love, people can banter Arteta about the light bulbs and all the crazy things we hear him do. Anyone that understands sport, let alone football, you can understand why you do that. My point of saying that is we're doing everything towards gearing up to win, apart from days out at Wembley, winning a trophy. And my unpopular opinion, Unks, is I feel sorry for the players. Whatever I have to say about those players last season, and obviously they're the ones playing. I've seen people play with injuries, rush back from injuries, players that I don't rate, playing out of positions in cup games, and the rest of it. And I think they needed help in January. And I personally feel, not necessarily Arteta, but January, or not doing anything in January, that told me everything with the real decision makers at this football club, because we were in that weird scenario in that we can't catch Liverpool. We're probably better than the ones near us. Top 4, we're going to get into it. At a push, it might be a bit unnervy and whatnot, but we're going to get top 4. So, you know what? We're feeling like this on the 9th of July. Who knows? Tomorrow we might feel a lot better, man. But I'm going to let Lee get out of it. Unks, it's always a pleasure. Let people know they can find you and any content to come out today.
Yeah, like Lee Judges, Lee Mark Judges on all socials, Lee Judges TV. You know, give us a look on that. Like, you know, and I'm going to get back now to watching a bit of the old tennis.
Appreciate you, Lee, man. Appreciate that, man. Anytime you need me on your platform, just give me a shout.
Yeah, we'll sort that out, like 100%, like, you know what I mean?
100%, Unks, man. Let me know I'm there, man. But people,
we'll
man,
100% do that.
Come on, and yeah, people, I'm sure you lot have agreed with what both of us have said. You've disagreed, so yeah, hit the like button, subscribe, and all that. We're out, man. Peace. Come on.